Welcome to the Exposer. So many guys are wondering why the Exposer has been so quiet and hasn't been reporting Spac Nation on a regular basis, like we was doing before. There's many reasons behind that. And one of the first reasons, of course, is that the Exposer has been busy working behind the scene. And there's a lot of things that's been going on. These are things that we've said in the past, but things just got more serious. And we had important information and important things to organize behind the scenes regarding this organization, which is Spac Nation. And we did not want to give Spac Nation the opportunity to even be made aware of what's really happening. So we thought that it was good to just keep the information private and allow the people behind the scenes who are working hard to provide the evidence and working hard to work with the authorities and the people who they need to work with in order to put out the proof and the evidence against this corrupted organization. So we felt like we had to almost go quiet so that Spac Nation feel like there's nothing left that anyone can do for this organization to be taken down. Now, again, another part of the reasons why we haven't regularly been posting is because Spac Nation were in need of more publicity. Because after everything that had happened, their reputation, of course, was tarnished. And what Spac Nation decided to do, or should I say, what Toby decided to do, was to try to clear up his image. He tried to do things to make himself look like a good person. Now, before we get into him, we'll start with what he mentioned before the pandemic. And what he mentioned was he stepped down as Spac Nation pastor and he was heading back to Nigeria to work on becoming the global pastor of Spac Nation. And he felt like his work now was needed in Africa, that his work in the UK was done and that he achieved everything that he wanted to do. And he promoted his pastors, Samuel Kokia and Dami, to become the senior pastor of Spac Nation in the UK. Now, because of the pandemic, everything went quiet. And of course, there was no flights to Nigeria. But let me remind everyone that during the beginning of the pandemic, there was arrests made at Spac Nation. And this is not long after where he decided to step down. This is because he knew that the authority was on his heel and he knew that this was the perfect time to run away. Now, because of the pandemic, everything went quiet and there was a lockdown, which meant that Spac Nation were let off for a numerous amount of time because, of course, it was hard for the authority to do their job and there was more serious things going on that were more important than Spac Nation. Now, during that whole time, there has been progress made. Again, we cannot disclose information right now, but you guys will know when the information comes out. But Toby has become now free in his mind and he feels that now he's safe. He feels that there's no more investigation. He feels that basically the end of the storm has happened, meaning that they have overcome every obstacle that's come their way. That's how he feels. However, he's smart enough to know that anything could still come out at any moment, which means do not be surprised if he gets on the first plane back to Nigeria as soon as another allegation or as soon as another arrest is made. But for the time being, he feels that nothing's going on, so he's remained in the UK. And he's continued to do what he's always done, which on a day-to-day basis, he's getting people to film him, going to shopping centres, going to expensive shops to buy himself expensive things. And, you know, the lifestyle that he was living before all of the allegations came out. Now, it's obviously a way for him to try and show that nothing has changed and he's still the same. And it's also a way for him also to try and go viral, which he has tried to do on numerous times since the pandemic. The reason behind that is because Spac Nation is no longer relevant. And he will come up with videos where he's overly dressed and he will say some outrageous things so that he will pay for promotion from all of the websites and the social media platforms with a big following to post his videos just to try and remain relevant. But that hasn't worked for him either because nobody is still interested in what Spac Nation are doing. So that's part of the reason why we haven't been posting them regularly. We needed them to completely die down. But however, our work here isn't really about the reputation of Spac Nation. Our work here is to save and help the victims. That has always been why we decided to expose Spac Nation. Because we know there's still members there who are trapped and there's still members there who need help, who don't know how to come out, and our videos was helping them. So this is why we felt that it was necessary for us to try and come back and try to post a few more videos. It may not be as regular as before, but it will still be more than we've been doing in the past few months. So we had to let you guys know this is what's been going on and this is why the Exposer hasn't been posting a lot of videos. Now, with Toby, we know that he has tried to do certain things to clean up his image. He has done more interviews since the ZZ Mill interview, but even those interviews hasn't worked out well for him, meaning lack of views, people are not really interested in him, and people don't care. And he knows this. He has realized that. And another thing that Toby has done during that time is he has seen how the exposer was getting views, basically exposing their organization. And he has also seen other major platforms discuss Spac Nation, which gathered a lot of interest from the public. So he decided to change Spac Nation into becoming a social platform. He decided to get Spac Nation on YouTube regularly. He decided to get Spac Nation on Facebook Lives, basically using all of the social media platforms to allow Spac Nation to be seen. And he now wanted to profit on many other platforms. So he felt like doing his videos now on YouTube and other platforms was more relevant than doing it on Periscope, where on Periscope he was a bit more private. Not really a lot of people were checking Periscopes to watch his videos before the exposure started to expose the videos I've put on the Periscope. So he decided to make it now a social media church. This is what Spac Nation has become now. It's a social media church now. They've decided to get all the right equipment. They've decided to hire a lot of cameramen. They decided to try and make things look more extravagant on YouTube to get more views there to help their church grow. Again, that has backfired because what they're doing is they're using the money that they're raising from, again, the vulnerable members and some of the most gullible members and also some of the most naive members who feel like the money is contributing to serious things when we know most of the money is going to things that's really irrelevant. It's going towards this guy's outfits. It's going towards this guy's cars that he's renting. It's going towards his watches. It's going towards many other things. And only a small percentage of his income or the church's income is going towards helping a few people. So during the whole time as well, what Toby has done is Toby decided to launch a website. A website where people would have to put all the information, the details. And according to him, he's helping out. The money that he raises will be used to help out people across Africa. So this is what he's launched. He launched the websites. He paid to be put on posters all around London. Spac Nation even had a celebration where there was he was on a billboard and believe somewhere near Vauxhall. And all of his Spac Nation members went there to celebrate him being there. Now, there's nothing extraordinary about him being on the billboard because he paid to be on all these posters and all of these things. But what these Spac members do, again, is just be delusional and act like it's the public or it's people who are higher up who decided to put Toby's pictures all around London. It's not. It's a guy who was promoting his website. And again, that failed. The only people who are being exploited by his website is his own members again, because everything he does, they feel like they have to be part of it. No one outside of that organization is trying to work with this guy. Everyone knows what this guy is all about. But only his members are delusional to believe that this guy is working with people of importance and that people are putting money into his hands to do things. It's only his members. Again, it's a genius idea that he's come up with to extort more from his members. So that's what he's worked on. And that's what he used a lot of the money again that the church has raised for him to do. To create a website. I believe it's the tobyadeboyega.com. Again, it's a website that requires you to put almost every bit of information about yourself. And then what will happen then, you will get in contact with him. And then his members will brainwash you. And then you might become a Spac Nation member. And then what will happen is you'll probably end up getting yourself in debt and giving this guy your money and thinking that that money is actually going to help people. Because people need to understand, at his heights, this guy was raising sometimes 200 to 300,000 pounds in 1 month. And when you see the work that he's done in Africa, you would see that he's used basically money he would use to buy a top to give to certain communities in Africa just to make himself look like he's doing a lot. If you have your members who are giving you £3,000 to £5,000 a month each, and you're raising ridiculous amount of money, using £1,000 or £2,000 out of it to say, look at what I'm doing, isn't showing us that you're a good person. You know, it's just like a charity. When they raised £1 million, you're expecting almost that £1 million to actually be going towards helping people. But with him, it's the opposite. If he raises £1,000,000, this guy will use £5,000 to £10,000 out of that £1,000,000 to try and help a few people. But the other 990,000 that's there is going towards his clothing, is going towards his cars, his jewelry, is going towards him sleeping in nice hotels, is going to him renting out expensive venues, and all these things that are not important. That's what majority of the money goes towards. But ultimately, it goes towards his pocket. So that's what Toby's been doing, and I hope no one has failed for it, because there's too much information out on them to know that this is a church who has a reputation of exploiting people. So anyone that even listens to what this guy has to do, or anyone that decides to sign up to their website, we could only pray and hope that you don't get too deep into it, because what will happen is, we know the end. You end up being in debt. You end up living with them and becoming almost like a slave. And then you don't realize it, and then it's only later on you realize it, and sometimes you can't leave because you feel like you have too much debt, and you feel like if you leave, where will you go to? You won't have a house. That's the thing. You become so dependent on them, despite them living off your income, and you end up just becoming, you end up just having this anger, and you end up suffering in silence. And we don't want that to happen to anyone. So that's what's going on with Toby right now. He's worked on cleaning up his image, and he's worked on trying to do more. He's rebranded the church from Spac Nation to the Nation's Family, and he's just trying to show more of him helping than he was before. And he's hiding more how he's making his money, and he's hiding more how much the church is making, and he's hiding the strategic plans that they have in place to raising what they call seeds. And that is what is really going on at Spac Nation regarding Toby. We'll do another video to now break down what is actually the system that's going on at Spac. How are they still raising money? Are they still getting people to come to the organization? Because remember, churches are not operating right now. It's operating from home. But we know that Spac Nation is different. But we will give you guys more information about what's going on regarding the actual organization itself.